It's pandemic Thanksgiving. It's going to be a weird one, but that's okay. It's just 1 year.
San Diegans are celebrating their first Thanksgiving amid the coronavirus, the changes they're making in order to curb the spread. And local firefighters staying busy on this holiday, knocking down a cluster of small fires as much of San Diego County prepares to be under a red flag warning.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
As millions of Americans celebrate Thanksgiving, coronavirus cases and deaths across the U.S. are soaring at record levels. Good evening and happy Thanksgiving. I'm Lindsay Pena. Steve Atkinson has the night off. As of today, nearly 13 million Americans have tested positive for COVID-19. And as ABC's Faith Abube explains, experts are worried the holiday will likely accelerate the uptick.
On the day the COVID tracking project reported a record 2,284 Americans died from the coronavirus in a single day, the TSA also reaching a milestone. Wednesday was the busiest travel day so far in the pandemic. More than 1 million Americans leaving their homes amidst COVID-19 restrictions to have Thanksgiving dinner with family.
You just try to kind of be as safe as you can.
Health experts warn that Thanksgiving travel could mean more COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and maybe even deaths in the coming weeks.
The amount of loss that we have experienced, it's devastating.
According to the COVID tracking project, Wednesday was the 16th straight day of record hospitalizations across the country. Hard-hit areas of Tennessee now begging for more resources.
We call on any person out there that's retired, that's a nurse or any kind of caregiver that can help out in the hospitals.
In Los Angeles, restrictions tightening. And in New York, a modified Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. Some people of faith celebrating after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled New York State cannot limit gatherings at houses of worship.
It's irrelevant from any practical impact.
Still, President Trump retweeting the news, adding Happy Thanksgiving. He's spending the day on the golf course, then joining a video conference with military members.
I want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving.
Meanwhile, President-elect Biden telling families he understands how Americans feel about having to scrap Thanksgiving traditions because of the pandemic.
I know this isn't the way many of us hoped we'd spend our holiday. We know that a small act of staying home is a gift to our fellow Americans.
The Sunday after Thanksgiving is usually the second busiest travel day of the year. That's when millions of travelers are expected to funnel through airports all across the country to head home. And experts say it'll be critical to socially distance and wear a mask to stop the spread of COVID. Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
Despite the CDC urging people to stay home and avoid travel this Thanksgiving, we found some travelers at Lindbergh Field this morning. People were wearing masks and practicing social distancing. We spoke to a couple who was visiting family in San Diego. They said they felt comfortable flying as they were ready to head back home.
We had an early Thanksgiving. Was that nice? Oh, it was excellent. Yeah, it was a perfect time to travel. And Southwest has their game plan down and smooth sailing. Yeah, definitely.
There were no issues as far as delays or major cancellations went, but airport officials still recommend you check for changes before heading to your flight. This year, Thanksgiving is looking very different for thousands of San Diegans. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer Kastner spoke to local families who canceled their traditional plans to help curb the spread of the virus.
San Diego health officials have urged locals to stay home over the holiday and do virtual visits with friends and family instead.
The Rhodes family in Rancho Bernardo typically hosts a Thanksgiving dinner with more than 60 people, including their 93-year-old grandmother. But this year, they opted for a much smaller gathering without their grandmother, telling ABC 10 News they don't want to put her or anyone else at risk of possible COVID-19 exposure. It has Laura Trujillo in tears.
It's very hard because she always wanted us all together, Christmas, every holiday. She cooked for us.
They're making less food this time, but keeping it traditional.
Our turkey is in a brine right here in the corner of the kitchen on the floor.
We're going to try to keep that part kind of alive, you know? So we're going to do the turkey. We're going to do all of the fixings.
So here's the cabbage and
carrots.
San Diego County health officials advise locals who still plan to get together to keep the dinners small, short, and safe, outdoors with no more than 3 households and no longer than 2 hours, with masks and social distancing.
So far, I think I might just be alone. I have like a across the street neighbor who I see a lot, so we might do something small.
Jeremy Schneider in Crown Point had planned to see friends like he did last year, but then canceled and is doing a Zoom visit instead.
It's pandemic Thanksgiving. It's going to be a weird one, but that's okay. It's just 1 year.
I think this will be one of the first times ever that I haven't been around like my grandmother, my daughter's great grandmother for Thanksgiving, maybe ever.
Brittany Welsh, along with her husband and child in LA, usually celebrate major holidays with family in San Diego, but not this year.
A little disappointed, but there's really no other, in my mind, there's no other option.
State health officials continue to urge Californians to avoid traveling out of state, but if they do, they're advised to self-quarantine for 14 days upon return. Jennifer Kastner, ABC 10 News.
For more than 3 decades, the Salvation Army has been serving Thanksgiving meals at Golden Hall to those in need. This year, it looks a bit different with meals to go. ABC 10 News reporter Adam Rakusin shows us how a little ingenuity and change of scenery helped ensure people got a hot meal this Thanksgiving.
As the day started, the line outside the Salvation Army's downtown Center City location grew. Inside, volunteers methodically sifted through supplies and packed hot meals to go.
Just because we have masks and have to keep social distancing, their needs haven't changed.
This is Elena Meisner's 9th year volunteering on Thanksgiving.
When I was starting out on my own, the Salvation Army helped me out with classes, clothes, services.
Meisner grew up in Northern California. She says without that initial help, her life might look a lot different.
When I got older and I found this opportunity, I wanted to give back, so I gave back.
But giving back looks a little different this year. For the past 3 decades, the Salvation Army's held large, family-style gatherings on Thanksgiving inside Golden Hall, helping people experiencing homelessness and those in need for Thanksgiving. The event's loud and full of love, but a gathering of that size is not allowed under California and San Diego County COVID-19 guidelines. So instead, a new idea.
It's not indoors at Golden Hall, but outside with meals and kits to go.
Meals to go.
Yes, we're actually really excited.
Just because it looks different doesn't mean the traditional meal needs to change. To-go kits served with turkey and stuffing, mashed potatoes with gravy, green beans or corn, cranberry sauce, and of course, pumpkin pie.
You're going to have a lot of more people that don't have somewhere to go for a meal. And so I think if anything, this year is going to be a little bit more important than the previous ones.
When the gates opened, people poured in. Meals handed out one by volunteers, and a few recognizable faces, the mayor and police chief. While it may only be one meal people don't have to think about.
It's not just about a meal today, but some of the help and services and support. It really represents the best of our city.
Adam Rakusin, ABC 10 News.
The Salvation Army served meals to go at 4 different sites today. Military families who currently have a loved one deployed were given some extra support this Thanksgiving. Lincoln Military Housing hosted a drive-through event today to give 75 families a Thanksgiving meal. Typically, it's held at Dave & Buster's, but organizers had to adapt this year due to the pandemic. Families also receive pre-made care packages that they can ship off to their loved ones abroad.
We have families who are attached to the Nimitz, the Roosevelt, and a number of other ships here in San Diego. So this is just our way of supporting them.
Children didn't go home empty-handed either. Lincoln Military Housing gave each one a cookie decorating kit to take home. Just like everything else this year, the COVID pandemic will have an impact on holiday shopping. According to a recent poll, 60% of shoppers say they plan to do at least some of their holiday shopping from home this year. And 41% say they won't be hitting the stores on Black Friday.
Retailers are trying to avoid a massive spike of people in their stores. They're trying to move more of their sales and spread the sales piece out over a greater portion of time.
Experts say the hottest items this year are gifts for the home. But before you buy, use a shopping app to check for the best deals on the items you want, especially gifts that are high in demand. Around this time every Thanksgiving, we usually see hundreds of people lined up outside the Best Buy in Mission Valley waiting to get inside. ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo was joining us, and Laura, it is definitely not the typical scene this year.
Lindsay, it's so much different this year. Like you mentioned, usually we'd see a line of people outside the Best Buy here in Mission Valley. This year, Best Buy and so many other retailers choosing to stay closed on Thanksgiving Day. And if you take a look behind me, there is nobody in line right now. There was a person in line earlier, but since he was the only one, he told us he was going to go for a walk and come back a little later. Now, I want to show you what it looked like last year, how it looks most other years. There were crowds of people waiting in line for the doors to open, even though it was raining last year. Now this year, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, many stores deciding to not open until Black Friday, also offering many of the same deals online. Now we talked to that one person that was waiting in line, and he says he plans on staying here overnight and tells me he's done it before in the Midwest with freezing temperatures.
This is kind of like mind-blowing, actually, not only being the first in line, but not seeing a line. And it was like below like zero cold. Like, it's here in San Diego, we have good weather. We're not worried about like, you know, snow or sleet or anything.
So again, he tells me that he is going to come back and stand in line and wait here until the doors open at 5 in the morning. Reporting live in Mission Valley, Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
Crews are investigating what they believe is a suspicious fire in Redwood Village. 3 separate fires broke out between Streamview Drive and University Avenue. This was shortly before 1 this afternoon. They joined together and began to burn right up to some homes. San Diego Fire called in one of their helicopters to drop water on the flames, which managed to burn about an acre. Thankfully, no homes were damaged and no one was injured. And crews made quick work of a brush fire that broke out in Pacific Beach this afternoon. This was along Garnett Avenue. Firefighters say a homeless encampment started that blaze, which burned about 1/4 of an acre. The brush in the area was thick, making it more difficult for them to reach. Luckily, there was water in a nearby riverbed, which helped keep it from spreading. No one was hurt. Santa Ana winds are beginning to gust across San Diego County, raising our risk of wildfire. As a precaution, SDG&E is warning residents in the East County to prepare for power shutoffs. 2,700 customers in several communities are being notified, including Alpine, Julian, and Santa Isabel. A red flag warning will be in effect starting at 9 o'clock tonight through 9 a.m. Saturday. The Pinpoint Weather Team is tracking the wind and the threat of wildfires. ABC 10 News weather anchor Jennifer De La Cruz is in for Angelica Campos, and she joins us from home with the latest. Hi, Jen. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, Lindsay. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, just 4 hours away from that red flag warning going into effect. So not anything a lot of these families wanted to hear on the Thanksgiving holiday. So hopefully we do stay safe here in San Diego. But it does go into effect at 9 o'clock tonight. It's going to take us through 9 a.m. Saturday morning. This is for the valleys and the mountains. Our winds out of the northeast. So these are those Santa Ana winds we know all too well. 20 to 30 miles per hour for your sustained winds, gusting though up to 50 miles per hour. The other part of the problem here is humidity will be very dry, down to between 10 to 15%. Giving us critical fire danger for the next couple of days. And we're already seeing those offshore winds in places like Julian and Mount Laguna, gusting around 15 miles per hour there, and it's only going to get worse as we head into the overnight hours. Temperatures, though, very comfortable if you're outside celebrating Thanksgiving. It is going to be a chilly night, so if you're stepping out, definitely grab a jacket. It will be nice, though, for tomorrow, a little bit warmer with lots of sunshine, and temperatures are going to warm up even more so into the weekend. I'm breaking down those Santa Ana winds hour by hour coming up in your 7-day forecast.
All right, thanks, Jen. And you can keep track of the changing weather conditions by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News. San Diego police are investigating a deadly shooting in Point Loma Heights. A man was shot in his car yesterday evening on Kemper and Kenyon Streets. When officers got to the scene, they found the victim's car had hit a retaining wall. The man was taken to the hospital but died. Police believe there was another man with the victim at the time of the crash. He was last seen walking away from the scene. And another man was also found dead inside a car yesterday evening in the community of Alta Vista. Police received multiple calls of gunshots heard in the area of Varney and Theodore Drives. Police say it appears the victim was talking to an acquaintance when another vehicle pulled up and the suspect shot him. The man was taken to the hospital where he died. There's no word if these two shootings are connected. The Salk Institute is teaming up with one of the richest men in the world to fight climate change.
We need to stop burning fossil fuels at some point, right?
The bold plan funded by Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos to harness the power of plants. And how a local retirement community is using the magic of television to stay connected during the pandemic. We're back in 90 seconds.